Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for full-on raging at my parents, after they spent £1,300 of my money for my brother's gaming PC set? For a bit of context, around a year and a half ago, when I was 15, I came up with a plan to pay for my own university fees once I finished school. It's a little expensive, between the 4 to 5 figure range, and my family isn't the richest one, so I wish to save my parents the trouble of paying and do everything myself. I plan to save up enough money until I can invest in some cheap land back in my hometown and hopefully earn lots. I told my parents this and they seemed pretty okay, at least to me, with my plan. So, I began working part-time and worked my socks off. So in those 1.5 years, I saved up around 30,000 lira, which is like £3,000, could have been a lot more but COVID, without spending a single penny. Now here's where the problem began. My younger brother had his 13th birthday yesterday and he always wanted to have his own gaming PC set. My parents always told him that they couldn't afford it, which makes him sad. One day, I forgot to bring my wallet with me when I was going to school, which has my bank card in it. When I came back, I saw a new gaming PC set right in the middle of the living room, half unboxed, and my brother crying and jumping around in ecstasy. I was happy for him, since I thought they actually managed to buy it themselves, until I found out shortly after, that almost half my saved up money was gone. Yes, we all know each other's bank card passwords. I was fuming and lost my crap at my parents, demanding, "Why the hell did you spend the money I worked hard for?" My parents apologized, but noted that they just couldn't tell their son that they couldn't afford his dream set when there was money available. I screamed at them and said that they've just stole £1,300 right under my nose without even considering asking me, and that they both owe me big time. My mum snapped back at me, saying that I'm still a child belonging to them, and that money should be the last thing on my mind at the moment. It was a back and forth argument, and I admit, I used some colorful language there, before my mum went on a power trip and yelled at me to remember who I'm talking back to. I just stomped off in anger. Some of you Redditors may think that £1,300 isn't a lot in the real world, but I've worked so hard after school and even on weekends to get this much, and for it to be half gone in an instant is a heartbreak for me. But I think I regret some of the things I've said to them, especially when all they were trying to do was to make my brother happy. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, call your bank and report the money as stolen. I think it's harder to dispute if they used his PIN. If it was family and they used the PIN number, I'm fairly certain he has no shot unless he makes a police report. Banks do not allow you share your PIN number, even with family and spouses. And if your family misuses that private information, that is unfortunately on you. Edit, as some have pointed out, the card could have been used online using the card number and the 3 numbers on the back. Not all bank cards can do this, and unfortunately has the same problem. If your family used your card, even without your consent, there often isn't anything they can do without a police report. Also, neither of these mean don't try. Absolutely try, just know that they may ask you to file a police report or they will drop the investigation. Not the a-hole. Your parents committed a crime. You should tell them either return it or they're going to get charged with a crime. That's such BS. I'm fuming just reading this. Change your bank card too. If they were willing to do this, it wouldn't surprise me if they wrote down that information. Sadly, it generally isn't a crime for a parent to steal their under 18 child's money. And in Turkey, this is most definitely the case. Especially as the parents have access to the account and know the password/PIN. OP has no legal recourse to get the money back. It's going to have to be a harsh lesson that he can't trust family, and can't let them know his financial situations now or in the future. Not the a-hole, it's paid on your card, so if I were you, I'd just return it when they're all out. Also change your password. If they get angry at you, just say, "I couldn't bear to see my college fund depleted," when there is a gaming computer to return right there. Think how many hours you worked for that, it's worth some hardship to get back. Plus, you'll be leaving soon as well, so the fallout is only temporary. It depends on if it was paid with a card or they took cash out. If they took cash out, then he can't return it on the card. Edit, as stated in the many comments, I've now notified my bank about my financial situation and reported to them that my money has been stolen. I'm now awaiting a reply. As for the PC, I've searched for the receipt everywhere but I still cannot find it. I'll keep searching though. Thank you for your positive messages. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help family since I have been burned before? I'm a 41 female attorney, started my career later in life, after my kids were old enough to start school and were more self-reliant. 3 years ago, my brother got into some trouble, and I helped him out the best that I could. I even went out of my way to ask someone I knew professionally to assist and paid all of the fees. He did not listen to my advice or that of the person representing him, and ended up with a heftier sentence because of it. He still blames me, and ever since then, I have made it a point to never help family in these situations. Last week, my dad had a major issue with his SSDI, Medicare. My stepmother called me and asked me to look into it, and I did, and it is an easy mistake to correct, so I told her exactly what she needed to do to fix it. My dad is still having the issue, and due to the stress associated with it, had a heart attack. My stepmother is now blaming me and saying that if I had just taken care of this for him, that it would have never happened. Medicare apparently stopped his coverage for no reason and will not reinstate him retroactive to the date that it was originally started, and now he has no coverage until May. It is clearly a Medicare issue, so I told her what forms to fill out and where to send it to. She thinks that I should be doing more, and that I should just do it for them. I explained to her that I am not the family attorney and that while I am happy to give some advice on what to do and recommend an attorney that can help them, I am not going to act on their behalf. My stepmother is now claiming that if I loved my dad, that I would do this for him, and if something bad happens, it will be my fault. I told her that if something happens, it will be due to the stress she is causing him from all her unnecessary drama. She said that family always helps family, and keeps throwing my dad's health in my face. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help? Not the a-hole. They lack accountability and responsibility towards their problems, and frankly, that's not your problem. They wanted you to do the work because it is more convenient for them, and that's pure laziness and very selfish. I would maintain very low contact with them because they just want you to solve their problems and not be responsible for anything. It reminds me of my parents. I don't know how to use the bank me, you should do X, Y and Z, with detailed photos provided for reference. Them, it's too difficult, can't you do it for me? Not the a-hole. The fact your brother blames you for his mistakes after you tried to help him, is a crappy thing to do. The fact you told your stepmother what to do to fix your father's Medicare issue and her not doing it, then blaming you for his heart attack, is also freaking horrible. Like you said, you're not the family attorney, and honestly, if I were you, I'd cut contact with her. I would too. Who knows what OP's father is saying/thinking, and the stepmother could be damaging their relationship through misrepresentation. There are so many professions that don't allow people to work with their families. Example, physicians don't treat family, and this is why. Not the a-hole, and best wishes for your father's health OP. Not the a-hole. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink it. Sometimes it's easy to drown the horse. I myself only help with small things now. Too many times in the past I myself have been burned by some family, and rather than continue the cycle I stopped going out of my way to help them. Now when they reach out, I mostly just offer advice. They can either take it or leave it. The results are up to them. The next story. Am I the a-hole for throwing my husband's Xbox out of the house after what he did? Me, 39 female, and my husband, 41 male, have a 9-year-old who recently became wheelchair-bound. It's been difficult and we're doing our best to adapt to this situation. But me and my husband take turns in caring for our son. We wanted to hire a carer, but they're expensive and our financial issues haven't been worked out yet. I was glad when my husband said he arranged to stay home with our son while I go to work, and then I do the same when he's working. He was also able to get another position at the company where he's required to work fewer hours and be home early. We've had many discussions and our schedule keeps changing, but each of us are aware of our responsibilities. It's not easy but we do all we can. My husband is a gamer. He can't stay without playing at least 3 times a week, and I don't mind it, seeing it's his way to cool off and get some time away from stress. Although I tell him to play when I'm home. Yesterday, he was at home the entire morning. I had worked till 3 p.m. I made food and put it in the fridge. Gave my son his tablet and told my husband to do what he normally does, to take care of our son while I'm gone. He said okay. At 2 p.m., I got a text from my son, telling me he needed me because his dad has been in his room playing Xbox and only made him breakfast. I couldn't wait till 3 p.m., so I went home immediately. I got into an argument with my husband after my son told me he went himself and his dad didn't take care of it. I yelled at him after I saw that he was in the middle of playing a game on his Xbox. My husband said I shouldn't yell, and that he was going to take care of it, but I'm just looking for an excuse to lash out. I couldn't believe he only fed him breakfast, and that's it. I unplugged the Xbox and got it out of the house. My husband threw a hissy fit saying I overreacted massively, and that he's too stressed out and exhausted. He admitted his mistake but blamed me for doing this to his Xbox. I took my son and went over to my sister's house. He spoke to my sister later and told her it was a one-time thing, and I was being too harsh and that he's human who forgets too. I stopped responding to him and my sister thinks it was no big deal. Note that I don't mind him playing with his Xbox. He normally plays when I'm home, but this time, he decided to play when it's only him in the house. It's his first time doing it, so I know I should have just talked to him about it. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, you have a disabled child. Unfortunately, the time for chilling and playing Xbox is gone. How dare your husband allow your son to sit in his own urine because he was playing games? As for your sister excusing him and saying it is a one-time thing, is almost as bad in my opinion. It's this attitude that enables people to get away with being a terrible person. Until your husband can admit how horrible this must have been for your son, and admit he was completely in the wrong, I would not want him looking after him. Him taking control and getting rid of the Xbox himself might be a start. Totally agree. I'd have fully lost my mind about that. Poor boy, I can't imagine how humiliating it was for him. Personally, I'd throw the husband away with the Xbox. I'm a gamer. There's a big difference in being a gamer versus failing to perform duties to house and children. I've done some crazy things while // because of gaming, but I never failed to mop the floors, cut the grass, feed the cats, etc. Your husband might have an addiction or other type of mental problem that needs attention. Not the a-hole. I'm a massive gamer who unhealthily uses it as escapism to remove myself from my daily life, and I've let responsibilities slide because of that. Things like doing dishes, or the laundry. Even then I'm like, oh crap, sorry girlfriend, I should do better, and I make attempts. But having a freaking life on the line because you can't detach yourself from a game? Even I think that's divorceable. Not the a-hole. It was a one-time thing is not an acceptable excuse when it comes to caring for your child. It only takes once for something to go badly wrong. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to stop ruining my daughter's career? I have a daughter who is 16. Since she was 14, she has been modeling and acting. My daughter and I had talked about her taking jobs when she was in middle school, but my husband would always say he didn't think it was ethical to put her to work. Finally, when she was 14, we had heart-to-heart talk with my husband where she told him that this was what she wanted to do. My husband finally said that he would allow it. However, after his approval, he turned full-on Papa Bear and would insist on accompanying our daughter to each one of her jobs and staying the entire time. What's worse is that, he'd ask a lot of questions to the people in charge on set, thinks he's entitled to veto power over which pictures are used, and never lets our daughter network with any of the people on set without standing next to her. I accompanied them to set once, and one of the people in charge said that a lot of good careers have been ruined by parents who are difficult to work with, and don't trust in their teenagers to make their own decisions. Over the past year, my husband lost his job. He finally got a full-time position as a long-haul trucker. My daughter is back to booking jobs, and recently, all her jobs have mostly fallen during periods where my husband would be away. My husband said to me to supervise my daughter and I said okay. This past week, I took her to a job and I felt like the person in charge didn't want parents standing around being nosy. I honestly didn't want my daughter to be known as the one with diva parents, so I left and picked her up after she was done. On Wednesday, she has another job, but I wanted to pick up an after-hours shift at the store I work at helping the boss sort inventory, so I asked my daughter to get herself ready and drive herself there. My husband called me angry about this, and started going through all the reasons I needed to be there. I finally snapped and told my husband that nobody gets ahead in any career with a parent breathing down their boss's neck, and that he was going to get her blackballed if he kept at it. I told him that I for one wanted to go to my shift and asked that he consider ways to be a father that doesn't ruin his daughter's career. Am I the a-hole? Everyone sucks here. You're the a-hole for not realizing why he's so adamant about being involved. Have you seriously not heard of the M2 movement? Or all the stories of child actors and models being groomed and taken advantage of by producers and photographers? Your daughter is a minor, there are millions of reasons that she would need the supervision of a parent near jobs in this industry. Your husband is only a gentle a-hole in my opinion, because I think there are ways he can be present without interfering. You two need to compromise on this before you, A, ruin her chances at a great career, or B, leave her in the hands of a dangerous situation. Exactly my thoughts. Yes, the attitude of an overbearing parent can hinder heavily the chances of a breakthrough in the industry. But she is 16 and could easily get groomed into doing something that shouldn't be done under false promises, or threats to fire her and blacklist her. So the mom is also an a-hole for dismissing the very real dangers of the industry. OP doesn't even seem like she gives a damn about all the obvious dangers here. Her husband probably feels more of an obligation to being overbearing because he knows his wife doesn't care to protect their daughter, so it's all on his shoulders. Everyone sucks here. There is another option besides helicopter and completely absent. You sit quietly in an out-of-the-way area. If you have doubts about where out of the way is, ask the least important looking, least busy looking person you can find. And you sit and wait, but you are there. And if somebody asks her to do something that isn't okay or makes her uncomfortable, you go up to them and say, "Excuse me, she's only 16, because these people are used to working with adults and often forget." But you don't abandon a child in a sea of predators because you trust her judgment. She's a minor, she's not supposed to have final say. Seriously. Meet somewhere in the middle. One parent is a magnet, and the other is only concerned about making things convenient for the daughter's employers. Everyone sucks here except for the daughter. Everyone sucks here. It sounds like your husband is going a little overboard, and should be communicating his concerns more clearly. But, he has very valid reasons to be concerned about his teenage daughter being left alone on a job with people she doesn't know, who hold a huge influence over her career and potential success. You suck for being more worried about being labeled an annoying parent than making sure your daughter is safe and being treated appropriately. A part-time job at McDonald's? Of course you shouldn't be breathing down her neck. Modeling job is a different story. Plus, you told your husband you would go with her, and then changed your tune once he was out of town. And that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.